and not just pretend you're part of a community, like you own the place and deserve it, but he's going to earn it. And I think he's already proven that. That takes guts to come here and work and make it a place that he wants to earn and not just take for granted. It takes guts to show up in Madison for this funny little thing that Scott Walker did in 2010 called Act 10, if anybody remembers that. Yeah. Well, I do, because I was a freshman in the assembly, and there was someone there who taught me the ropes just by being there. He was the vice chair of the Democratic caucus in the assembly when I was a freshman. And believe me, I walked in the door and the excrement hit the fan. I was blindsided by the fact that other than a few newcomers, there were about 4 of us in the assembly who were new Democrats. Everybody else lost. That was the year that Feingold lost. That was Obie's seat. We lost it to Sean Duffy. It was a year that everything bad happened. But Fred was the vice chair of the Democratic caucus, and he taught us how to fight. He led that marathon hearing where we stayed up and listened to every single person who wanted to speak at a hearing that the Republicans refused to hold. We kept it going for I don't know how many hours, but we let people come in day or night. And then we followed it up with the session on the floor that went for, again, hours and hours. Has anybody gone, sleep deprived? I do not recommend it. Sleep deprivation is torture. It is torture. This man's got guts. The other thing I want to tell you is, this is point number 2. That was the guts part. Here's point number 2. We are not fighting Tom Tiffany. We are not fighting Tom Tiffany. He's gone. He's going to lose the race for governor. Yeah. That's right. We cannot have this false enemy of Tom Tiffany. Put him out of your mind. We cannot have this fear of Tom Tiffany anymore. We are fighting for something, and we're fighting for Fred. We are fighting for the things that he is going to tell us about. And believe me, he's going to have it all and show it to us. We're going to know what we want. We want to be able to tell other people about. He's going to tell us what he's going to be fighting for. We know clearly what the enemy is, and he's sitting in the White House right now. We know what the enemy is, and it's what's in Congress right now. We know what we are fighting for and why we need to elect Fred to Congress. And we see it every day, with every day of the government shutdown, with every day that we're worried about health care, with every day that goes by and we're worried about the National Lake Shore right here on our shores. We know what we are fighting for. So let's eliminate this fear of Tiffany. It's what we are fighting for. And the last thing I want to say is we have to join with Fred and spread the word. We have a huge district, and we can celebrate that district, but we have to be the ones who let people know what we know. We know about Fred. This was was supposed to be an introduction and it turned into a speech, and I apologize. So Fred is about, what, 66 years old, and he's tall, and he's got a beard, and he's wearing jeans and shoes. So there's your introduction. Here's Fred Clark.
That's precarious.
Can you hear me if I just talk loud?
Yeah.
It's going to be a balanced speech.
Fair and balanced.
Okay.
Fair and balanced. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Janet, for the wonderful introduction. For those of you that don't know me, it's just really wonderful to see everybody come out. And Janet told you a little bit about some of the history I bring to this, but honestly, I moved to Bayfield 4 years ago. I live in a beautiful little house, wonderful life. I'm quite content living as a bachelor, where most days my biggest concern is whether the wind's up and I can get my boat out to sail, or whether there's going to be fresh snow so I can get out to ski. And once in a while helping people like Matt Carrier on the Parks and Rec Committee, and walking over to the school on Wednesdays and reading to Jeannie Hovis' second graders. Every once in a while I think to myself, you really ought to do something more useful for this community. And I think about walking down to the ferry office and seeing if I could sign on as a deckhand, which I would love to do. I didn't anticipate doing this. And if you'd asked me 6 months ago, I wouldn't have anticipated doing this. But these were extraordinary times. And I spent a lot of this summer with my friends Charlie Ray and Jamie Patterson, and we got on the road and we traveled throughout the 7th Congressional District. And as Janet said, and if you're not familiar with it, it's the entire north of Wisconsin. It's 26 counties. I dug out the only state map I had, which is the map of glacial deposits across Wisconsin. And I actually Sharpied the district boundary, and I was going to bring it tonight, but Sharpies have gotten kind of a bad rap, and really run with that. But thanks to Jamie, we are soon going to have some really high quality large format maps of this huge district. But we went from here in Bayfield down to Marshfield and Wood County and Abbotsford and Merrill and Wausau and Tomahawk and Antigo and Woodruff and Minocqua. And on another trip, Charlie and I went down to Cable and Spooner and Webster and Hudson and New Richmond. And we came to as many communities as we could, and we talked to as many people as we could to try to understand how people are reacting to and understanding what's coming out of Washington today. And the thing that we all became convinced of is that this is a moment of transformation politically. That people are paying attention, that across the political spectrum, the voices for the MAGA movement are going quiet, and Democrats are feeling more and more outraged and empowered to actually make a difference. And I truly believe that this is going to be one of the best opportunities we will have in years to achieve a political transformation here in northern Wisconsin. So by the way, Jackie said to me as I walked in that even if I got on this stump and drooled tonight, it would be an improvement over the current representation that we have. But I'm going to try to raise the bar. I've been horrified by what we have seen come out of Washington and come out of this administration. And I'm just going to name a few. And I know every one of you that I know feels the same way. Back in March, we saw people in that building over there at the Park Service headquarters have to walk about 15 employees out the door on a Friday, making them put all their stuff in a cardboard box and literally be fired on hours' notice. And this is something that went on in federal agencies throughout the country. These are people who were dedicated to their jobs, who were high-performing people in their jobs, fired summarily by the ketamine-addicted billionaire Elon Musk and his Doge team. And the damage that has been done to our federal agencies is not something that most of us will necessarily feel every day immediately, but that damage is being done. It's being done in the access that families have to vaccines. It's being done to our access to public lands and the stewardship of public lands. It's being done to programs like the National Weather Service that have to warn us about hurricanes or tornadoes and floods. This stuff matters. And when the federal government is basically turned into a federal service, it becomes a loyalty test, we will be paying the price for the loss of knowledge and experience that is happening right now. We're all aware of the impacts, I think, of the massive handout to billionaires that was one of the only substantive things passed by this Congress, which is a $3.4 trillion increase in our national debt in order to give tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans, that is going to kick 270,000 people off of Medicaid in this state alone. And on top of that is going to result in hundreds of thousands of more people who will see their premiums increase in the Affordable Care Act by more than double. And many will lose coverage because they can't afford it, and the ones who stay in that program will pay more and more and more. And the effect of that is going to be an erosion of the capacity of our rural healthcare system that will affect everyone, no matter where you get your coverage. We will all be paying the price for that. You know, one of the things that also really got me, and this happened back in February, and you probably remember, you may remember reading a tweet by Elon Musk that he had spent the weekend feeding the U.S. Agency for International Development into the wood chipper. And what that meant was the almost immediately termination of thousands of federal employees who work abroad and run programs around the world that feed people and that provide medicine and health care for people and other critical services. That is one of the best examples of American soft diplomacy that has brought us benefits in untold measure, including the human lives that it has saved and supported over the years. Those people were all fired. Over 10,000 foreign nationals who worked for the USAID were also fired. Those are partnerships that took years and years to develop. The trusting relationships based on the faith of the goodness of Americans to help feed people and keep them healthy. That all went away. And one of the estimates I saw was a Boston University study that projected that even to date, 90,000 people are estimated to have died of AIDS just because of the elimination of the Global AIDS Initiative that George Bush started. That's heartbreaking. And I don't want to live in a country where that kind of cruelty and that complete lack of respect for human dignity is the order of business every day. There's simply no reason for that to happen in America, and I don't want to live in a country that is led by people who believe that that's appropriate.
Yeah. Here, here.
So it's we can talk about policy all day long, but I just, what really brings me to want to do this is I think the moral values that we all should expect from people who run America. And if you read about what happened in Chicago this week, children and women and families who were hauled out of their homes, their apartments at 1 a.m. in the morning, some of them without clothes on and zip-tied and hauled into vans for hours, where their apartments were ransacked. That is not the America that I want to live in. And our Congress has stood by and stood back and allowed every one of those things and more to happen. If Congress is failing in its most fundamental responsibility, to be a co-equal branch of government and to uphold the things that United States citizens have voted for and supported for more than 80 years. And Tom Tiffany, I was very motivated to take on a race against Tom Tiffany. Because I know him and I served with him with Janet in the state assembly and we've watched him work. He has failed this district. Well, we know now that he's moving on to what he thinks is a greener pasture. And we need to show him that door.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yes, sir.
And we will. We will. But in the meantime, the 7th Congressional District's an open seat. And this is a transformative moment. And I believe that this will be the best opportunity we have had probably since 2011 to restore responsible representation to northern Wisconsin. So I want to go to work for you. And this may sound odd to say this, but one of the things I really believe about a campaign like this is that fundamentally it's not about me. I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be a hero. People who know me would tell you that most days I'm lucky if I get out the door with my shirt buttoned straight. But there is something I can bring to this. Because I've been in public service. I've won elections. I know how to run a campaign. And I want to spend the next 13 months with a really incredible team taking the story of both shitty politics and American democracy throughout the entire breadth and length of the 7th District. So, this is a wonderful way to get sent off, because from here we hit the road. And I'm going to be sticking my nose into restaurants and taverns and auto repair shops, and I'm going to be looking for conversations with rod and gun clubs and with Rotary clubs and with civic associations, and I'm going to be talking to journalists and reporters and looking for every opportunity we can have to have a conversation about democracy. And whether I win this seat or not, which we are going to do everything possible to win this seat, but whether I win it or not, I want to have that conversation. And would love to have every single one of you as part of that effort.
Yeah. You betcha.
So I've got a lot to learn. As far as I can tell right now, to run this race in a way that would make it viable and winnable, we probably need about $2 million. But let's look at it incrementally. Between now and the end of the year, between now and Christmas, I think if we can raise $250,000, that's an achievable goal, and that's one that'll put us in a really good position to get the attention that we need and elevate the status of this race as one that's actually potential.
Yes.
And that's the way campaigns work. And unfortunately, money is a necessary thing in a campaign, even in a changing environment. And we've got a kick-ass team of people. Tonya Simeone here is going to get us digital in a big way. Kelby Youngberg is graduate of Northland College, class of 1925, is moving back here to help run this campaign. And with Heidi and with Joe and with Gina, we've got a really good team. And I would love to have you all as supporters and part of that. So here's what we can all do. Beth is our treasurer for the evening. If you want to write a check, it's Clark for Wisconsin. But get on our mailing list, please, if you're not already. Pick up a flyer and take it home. You can drop your name on our contact list on our website. I'd love to be able to stay in touch with you. I would love it if you spread the word and help tell others that we actually have a chance to do something this time. And we're going to make it real, and I'm going to give this 100% for the next 13 months and beyond. And sign up to volunteer. We need people who are willing to drive. You don't want me driving around for the next 13 months. That's a bad deal. But we need people that can give us a place to stay. There's a bunch of jobs for volunteers on a campaign to just make it fun, including knocking on doors. So that's what I got. God love you all for being out here tonight. I'm happy to take a couple questions too. So, but big round of thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
In Matt and Bill, I was a little worried that Chief Hawley was going to come up here and tell us that this was an illegitimate gathering. But so far we've been okay.